Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kingsborough Focus. I'm your host, Adam Feigenbaum, and joining us today is a special guest from my life. We will be talking about how we met. Isaac flew all the way from Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the one and only Issac Assouline. Thanks for being here today, Isaac.
No problem.
And as I mentioned before, I'm going to mention about how me and you met. If you don't mind, can you just explain how it was that we met?
I was doing an IDF volunteer program, and I met Adam there as one of the fellow Americans who I became friends with.
Yes, this is the truth. This is what happened. Also, I do recall when we were at the Army base, you kind of had a problem with the language barrier. Is that one of the reasons why you decided to be friends with me, because I was able to speak a lot better English than most of the other soldiers?
Yeah, for sure. I remember struggling to understand a few people, especially those who didn't speak English, and you were one of the Americans who I felt like I could talk to all the time and didn't have a problem with the language barrier whatsoever.
I agree. I do remember when this happened. Also, just a few questions. Do you mind explaining your experience on the base itself and kind of what you did?
I remember being woken up around 7, and then we'd be told by our mefeket, or commander, what our tasks were for the day. And a few of our tasks were together, but not necessarily all of them.
Yeah, I do remember. We eventually got split up into groups, and then we had one big task where the entire group met. Was it when like the big group that I saw you when we were doing that whole big assignment?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that there was like a few different tasks going on in the same area, and that's where we got that picture.
Yeah, I do remember this. We even, at one point, we even had like a friend group. We had a bunch of other kids that decided to be our friends at one point.
Yeah, it wasn't just you who was the only American, but you're the one who I hang out with a lot.
Yeah, we definitely did. We definitely did a lot of hanging out during that Army base. It was definitely pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I do have a picture, if you don't mind me explaining. If you don't mind explaining this picture, it's yeah.
Oh yeah, this is an extremely cool picture because we're standing right in front of an Israeli tank.
Yeah, I do remember this picture very briefly, and it was very in the moment. Like, I remember that when the picture was taken, we were kind of caught off guard. It was one of our friends that just came up to us while we were in front of the tank and said, and then we're like, all right, why not? So,
I mean, of course, it's not every day you see a tank like this, and we were having a time off from work, so it's definitely something I don't regret.
would you say that going and volunteering, would you say that made you more disciplined?
A little bit, yes. I think it's very good that I did that, and this experience is something I definitely am proud of.
Yeah, I'm also proud of that experience. But another question that I have for you is, when you were there, what kind of activities were you doing? Like, what was the day-to-day like to be, on an Army base doing things?
We would rotate from different tasks that could range from cleaning tanks to moving heavy tarps or cables, because the soldiers have to train and they don't have time to do the logistical maintenance stuff that the Army base requires.
Yeah, I do remember there was also a certain task where we had to take rockets and put it into a tank. That was a pretty awesome task. I believe that's where I saw you also. I saw you taking rockets, and I saw you struggling with one of the soldiers. You weren't really able to speak to him, and I had to translate for both of you guys. You remember this?
Yeah, I believe so, because I remember he was trying to explain how to organize the tank shells to get them prepared for war. So I'm very happy that we put in this work 3 years ago.
Yeah. So let's say, like, what time did you have to wake up? And I mean, you said 7 a.m., but what did you do at this 7 a.m.? What did you do? Like, you're up so early. What are you doing at 7 a.m.?
I recall one of our friends had a problem waking up early, and the commander yelled at him. So once you get to 7 a.m., you basically had to be up. But if you wanted to prepare earlier, you could wake up earlier, but I usually woke up around that time.
So, yeah, you did wake up at 7 a.m., but let's say you didn't wake up at 7 a.m. Would there be a punishment? And if there was a punishment, what would that punishment be?
I do remember that our friend Noam definitely did get yelled at for not waking up on time, but I was always awake, and I don't think I got punished for being awake to see this.
I remember I was there. I saw Noam doing 120 push-ups right in front of my face, and the mefaked was screaming at him for an hour straight, making sure that he does every single one.
I mean, that's how discipline is taught. I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I do. I can't argue with that. You're right. Also, I have another picture, and I would love for you to explain this one.
Oh yeah, that's when I came to visit you in New York a few years after. This is great. We went to this, I believe, the summit. Was that?
Yeah, that is the
Yeah,
summit.
that's
That's
the cool
the
view
big
tower,
sky.
yeah.
Yeah, I do remember this. So yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you that you can meet friends all over the world, and you can still have history and still keep in touch, even though you live in Florida and I live in New York. We can still keep in touch. I mean, that just goes to show.
Oh yeah, 100%. I totally agree with everything that you just said.
So, I mean, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Not sure. I mean, I think we went over a little more than we put on the
As far
script.
as like your experience, you think everything, like, would you say that you regret now?
Oh, definitely not. I'm definitely proud of what I did, and I think I helped Israel, my country.
Yep, I can't agree with you anymore. Well, we would like to thank Isaac on taking the time out of his day to talk about his story. It's been great, Isaac, but I hate to break it to you. Our time is over. I'm your host, Adam Feigenbaum, signing off with Kingsborough Focus.